All right, welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 418. Today is the 16th of November, 2022, and two very important things today. One, Black Friday is right around the corner. I know, hopefully, like you guys, I'm keeping my eyes out for a bunch of cool deals and stuff going on, and you are not going to miss out if you pay attention and you're subscribed to Semantic Mastery. There's also going to be some good stuff coming down the pipeline, so highly recommend that you get subscribed. Go to semanticmastery.com, boop, 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 enter your email, and you are good to go. Secondly, and most importantly to me, is my sit-stand desk started working again out of the blue, because today it stopped working, and that really bummed me out. And I just wanted to let everybody know that my desk is working, the world is back to normal, everything is okay. And so now we can get on with Hump Day Hangouts. So speaking of, I want to say hi to the guys before we get into the questions. It looks like we got a bunch of really good questions. I don't know. This looks like a ton of questions, but anyways, so we'll keep it short. Chris, how you doing today?
Good, super happy. Christmas is definitely around the corner. Christmas lights up and in full light, if you want to call it that way already. So super happy. Makes
Nice.
the night a bit more light, if you want to call it that way. Other than that, yeah, lots of work that's getting done, and super excited as usual.
Nice. Yeah, man, we should have coordinated. We could have all put on our local Fury sweatshirts like Bradley. What do you? Oh, I'm not.
Hey, look at that.
All right, I'm the asshole.
You missed the memo, Adam. You missed the fucking memo, man.
Damn it. Oh man. Well, Bradley, how you doing?
Busy, but excited. I was just mentioning to you, Adam, but I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago too, that we were in the Channel Jumpstart. Daryl Eves, Channel Jumpstart. We joined that coaching program to help us get more out of our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just learned so much. We're only in week 4 of a 12-week program, and I've just learned a ton, and I've been planning out, and I've been thinking about YouTube for a month now, right? Because we're in week 4. Yeah. So and it's 12 weeks of coaching for one video. Like, in other words, by the end of the coaching program, you're only supposed to have produced one video according to the Channel Jumpstart kind of training or process. And but God, I've learned so much in the last 4 weeks already. And like, I've got really big plans for what I want to do, but he calls buckets, video buckets. And it's kind of like a playlist, but playlists are almost obsolete as far as YouTube's algorithm goes. It has nothing to do anymore with like recommending the AI, the recommendation engine in the AI does it all entirely on its own, like the up next videos and suggested videos and things like that. It's all done via AI now. So playlists aren't really, that's how we assisted the kind of AI or the algorithm years ago. Playlists are still valuable for SEO, for YouTube silos and things like that. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is the whole program is about how to trigger the YouTube algorithm to show your video in suggested videos or up next to other people that have watched similar content. So it's not about getting found in YouTube search. It's about YouTube algorithm recommending your video to an audience that is likely to be interested in that. And so anyway, super exciting stuff. I'm really, I've learned so much in the last 4 weeks, and I've been planning out what I'm calling what my video bucket's going to be for Semantic Mastery. And it's going to be a sequence of videos that one will build on the next and then on the next. And based on some recent videos, I'm sure you guys, well, not I'm sure, but if you recently, I'd done a couple of videos for Peter Drew about Live Rank Sniper and how to use that for finding rank and rent, like easy keywords for local SEO, for either lead gen or for client work, or for closing, prospecting to close clients, or it could be used for leads. Anyway, I'm going to do a sequence of videos on that process from start to finish. And so I'm really excited about it. I almost don't want to wait. I've got 8 more weeks to go before, and it's like, man, I want to get in and produce the video now, but I'm actually, yeah. And I'm actually preparing for it. They're like, gathering details and things like that, but it's, I'm really excited about it. So just be on the lookout for that, guys. I think it'll be good. Right around the first of the year, we'll be launching that new kind of process. So
outstanding. Awesome. Let's see. I just had a couple quick announcements, and then we can get into the questions. Like I said, we got quite a few.
A lot.
But yeah, wanted to say too, we talk a lot about the mastermind. It's been a really great year for the mastermind. We've had a lot of great new members come on, and we actually got some really good feedback from someone. Bradley passed it along to me, and we've updated the page, which you can check it out at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Added some more information to that because I realized a lot of people may have already been paying attention. They've already heard us. They've heard about the mastermind. When they go there, want to really quickly, check on things. What are we getting? What does the schedules look like? Do we have access to webinars? What is it? So we've added a little bit more information, a little bit more concise up top to be more brief about what it is. And then if you want to read on, past that, of course, we have a lot more information, tons of great testimonials from previous members. Just wanted to put that out there because if you're ready to take your digital marketing, your local SEO results to the next level, then joining the mastermind is the place for you to be. Hump Day Hangouts is fun. We enjoy it. We love having questions and interacting with people. But the mastermind is really where we can dig into it and, where you can really expect more instead of where we're like, hey, we got to go. I'm meeting my wife for dinner. I don't know. Bradley might stay on for an extra half an hour if we let him, but we do have to shut it down. And in the mastermind, we can go a little bit longer. We can do a little bit more asynchronous. We have a private group along with the webinar. So just wanted to throw that out there. If you are curious, by all means, go to mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Would love to have you join if growing your agency or consultancy is what you're looking to do. Cool, guys. Well, that's it on my end. We just want to say one more thing about YouTube. If you want, please subscribe. It helps us. We love it. And we know that, that way too, you get notified when new videos are up. So not only these Hump Day Hangouts, the long ones, but then we chop them all up into little bite-sized pieces. So you can find just the questions that you want to watch as well. We know some people like to go back, kind of put this on in the background, check it out once a week, but you can also go in and just check out the video. So head over to YouTube, Semantic Mastery, subscribe, and that'll be good. All right, that's it on my end. You guys, anything else?
No, just one thing. I'll grab the screen before we get into questions, just demonstrate something. I want to show everybody too, the channel search feature in YouTube is valuable because we have so many thousands of several thousand videos on our channel. So you can go use the channel search feature and actually type in your question. And it's likely that, it's probably been answered before. So I'm going to demonstrate that real quick just so you guys can see it, and we'll get into questions. We do have quite a few. So let me jump into the channel real fast, and I got to redo the welcome video as well. But anyway, right there, the channel search feature. If you just click on that and you search for whatever it is that you're, I don't know. I'm just going to say Google business SEO and just see what comes up. And there you go. You start seeing so again, the channel search feature is really valuable or helpful when because we have so much content. And so I'm not saying don't post your questions on Hump Day Hangouts. We're happy to answer them again live because things change. So the answer that was given 2 years ago might not be it may not be the same answer. But just so you know, in case you're looking for something, you don't want to wait for Hump Day Hangouts, just go post, check it out in the channel search feature, and you may be able to find your answer. So. Right on. All right, let's move on and get to all these questions. I think the first one is this one.
Yep, looks like it.
He says, well, there's probably an add-on from last week, but I'll
yeah, let me scroll up. It looks like let me see, is that it? Since we're on the slug topic. So it's either that or the hey SM starting to graduate.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and answer this one anyway, just because it says since we're on the slug topic, he's talking about permalinks for web pages. Assuming a domain doesn't have the city name, do you include the city name in the URL slug of a service page? Yeah, that's helpful. So yeah, if you're doing just city pages and you don't have any kind of silo structure, if you have a silo structure where you are placing the service pages within a city silo, which I don't recommend that, but you again, you can, if you are doing that, then I would not duplicate it again. I mean, technically you could if you're using the virtual silo, which is the post name permalink in WordPress, which is post name only. In other words, whatever the slug is of that particular page or post is the permalink after domain.com, whatever the first / after the domain extension. A physical silo structure is where you see the hierarchy in the URL. So you'll see the categories and subcategories if you're using a complex structure or complex silo, in the actual URL. That's the only difference. A virtual silo is the post name permalink. A physical silo is category / post name permalink. if that makes sense. So if you have an actual silo structure that you're placing, city pages within a location-based silo, then it's not necessary to do that, even with a virtual silo, because it's, you would be duplicating that slug in the, it's redundant is what I'm saying. But if you're keeping a simple site where you've just got city service pages, which is what, I do recommend that. It's the less depth you can add to a local business site, the easier it is to manage and the quicker it is to kind of push link equity around the site. So now there are certain cases where silos are appropriate, but I found for a lot of local sites, it's not really necessary. So in that case, like I said, just a service page with the city and the URL, that does help. That is definitely a ranking factor for sure. So that's a good question. Next one, Cool Human says, hey, SM, starting to gradually grow my agency, but running into some issues and would appreciate advice. I currently have 3 VA freelancers offshore who help me with some of my services, and the rest I am doing myself, and or have a white label companies to work with. I'm now trying to scale things up and build out a proper team, but it is hard with time zone differences to execute changes quickly. So thinking of hiring another VA in my country so the work can be split between them and I don't have downtime. How do you go about tracking hours or payments, et cetera, to make sure things don't go out of control? Up until now, I've been working on a project model and quote out projects and then pay my team a fixed price for all the work done that we agree on. However, I feel this won't be sustainable or attractive going forward with ongoing tweaks, fixes, and maintenance. Okay, so that's a really good question. That's more of a operations question, right? And that's, I'm pretty good at that myself. And so, all of our teams are all of our team members are in other countries. I don't have anybody that works for me that in the United States. So we've got people in South Africa, India, and the Philippines. Those are where all 3 of my kind of team members are. And so, first of all, I don't pay on an hourly basis. I pay on a per task basis. There's a lot of reasons why I do that. Number one, I used to pay salaries. We used to pay salaries, and we're on the hook whether they're our workers. When you pay salary, you're on the hook whether your workers are productive or not. You pay. You just flat out pay. And so there were times where I didn't have work and we were just paying out of pocket. And so that I learned over time not to do that anymore. I don't like to pay hourly because there's no incentive for the hourly workers to become more efficient. I like to pay on a per task basis because it gives everybody incentive to be more productive, more efficient. It also gives our workers the ability to make a hell of a lot more money than they could if they were working hourly or even on salary, right? If you ask my team, I've had I'm not kidding. I have testimonials from my workers that about how significantly their lives have changed because of the way that I pay them. And it gives it, one in particular, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's was disabled. So he had some sort of an injury and was disabled. He's one of our writers now for Semantic Links. He's one of the guys that writes content for link building. Anyway, he was disabled and he had a few, a couple of small children, young children, and a family, and he's on disability in the Philippines. And so his income had been very, very low until my project manager, Hazel, who started her own staffing agency, which is now how we staff everybody that we need. I just contact Hazel and say, look, this is what I need. Here's the job duties. Here's the pay structure, because I pay on a per task basis, pay her and all of her subordinates the same way. And then she says, okay, I'll get back to you in a couple of days. And usually in 2 days, she comes back and says, I got a candidate. Here they are. And we get them started. And so anyways, he had Hazel had actually found this guy and asked him if he would want to learn how to write using the tools that I provided and all the SOP training that I provided. And he agreed, and he came on. And I got a message about, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago now from Hazel, the project manager, who I communicate directly with her, and then she communicates with all the subordinates. And anyway, I got a message from her, and she told me that he had said how much it had changed his life because he's now making 5 times the amount of money working for for me and semantic links than he was working a full-time job before his disability. So it significantly has changed his family's life. And so that's just one example of many that I have where, you know, paying on a per task basis, it helps your workers to become, first of all, you don't have to worry about throwing money away because you're only paying for productive time of stuff that's been approved, obviously. Number two, the better they get, the more efficient they get, the more money they can make. So it's in their best interest to become more efficient and to be super productive and to find ways to improve the process. I've said this many times, but when I develop an SOP, unless it's something that I'm really super proficient at, if I need something done, I will learn how to do something just enough to be able to develop a very crude SOP or standard operating procedure out of how I figured out how to execute that task. And again, it may not be pretty, it may not be polished, but it's enough to get it. I was able to execute the task successfully, even if it was very inefficient. And I'm able to then create an SOP on how I did it, even if it's, you know, cumbersome or you know, again, an inefficient process. I can still develop an SOP out of it and then delegate that out and say, okay, here's the SOP. It's not very pretty, right? Or it's not the most efficient way, but go through it, learn how to do this task. And then it's on you. It's up to you, the worker, to be able to learn how to improve the process, make it more efficient. Be on the lookout for tools or apps or software that can help to improve the process. If you find something, let me know and I'll review it. And if I feel like it's a good fit, then I'll purchase it for you. And that way you can be more productive. And so again, I will fund the tools and everything that my workers need. But the whole reason why I'm telling you this is because ever since I started paying everybody on a per task basis, everybody's happier. I know exactly what my costs are going to be for everything. So I bill accordingly. So when, like, for example, my link building business, I know exactly what my costs are for each type of link that I build. I know exactly to a T how much everything costs me. So therefore, I know what my profit margins are on every single link that I sell. I know exactly what my margins are, if that makes sense. And so it's a great strategy because, again, my workers, they're all making money hand over fist, like significant money in the Philippines working for me because of the way that I pay them. I'm making money. It's profitable. We're all happy, right? So that's the first thing I can tell you when dealing with outsourcers. You know, I have a couple of VAs that do hourly pay that are hourly that like just generate reports and things like that. And there may even be a time where I even change that over because I might be selling some of the reports on like Vetted, for example. So I might end up switching it to where they get paid per report generated as opposed to per hour to report or generate the reports too. But what I'm saying is it's very rare that I pay anything hourly. Everything is pretty much done on a per task basis. You get much more efficient workers out of that way. You don't have problems to deal with, or at least not nearly as many. And everybody can make more money. And that to me is huge incentive. So that's number one. As far as dealing or communicating with the team, you know, I require, not all the time. So with my team members, especially when they're new, I give them, that's another thing, is always have an SOP, always have standard operating procedures, documented procedures for the tasks that you want them to do. Have those prepared before you hire somebody, because trust me, again, from experience, I've hired people in the past and didn't have SOPs ready. And then, like, again, when I was paying salary or paying hourly or whatever, I would have to pay them sometimes when I didn't give them any work because I was the bottleneck that I didn't give them the training. So my point is, don't hire somebody until you have SOPs so that you can delegate work to them immediately and have them being productive while you are working on developing other SOPs, for example. Okay. But then once, like I said, with a new worker, with a new hire, I assign them the SOPs and I will pay them. Sometimes I will pay hourly training pay while they're learning the process before I pay on a per task basis. So like I might say, okay, here's an SOP. I'm going to pay you 10 hours at $6 an hour or whatever, or maybe 15 hours or 20 hours, depending on how complex the task is, right? If it's something more complex, I might say, okay, I'm going to pay you 20 hours at $6 an hour to learn this process. Go through it twice if you need to. Once you feel comfortable that you understand the concepts, then I will assign a task for you to execute following the SOP. And at which point, then you will be paid on the per task basis, if that makes sense. So I do pay training pay for that. But what I'm saying is whenever a new worker comes on, I give them the SOP. I tell them what they're going to be paid while they're training for that, during that SEO, like while they're in training, excuse me. And then I also require that they are available for at least an hour, Monday through Friday at specific times when it's convenient for me and my business. So for me, it's between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, where I ask my remote staff, my remote team, to be available so that for those 2 hours every day, so that I can always chat, because we use Slack as our communication channel. That way, if there's any issues that come up with any of the tasks that they're executing, that they're responsible for, they can communicate directly with me via Slack. The 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. is the 2 hours that I have available for that time. Before at 9 a.m. I start taking sales calls and all the other kind of stuff that I do throughout the day. So the point is I require that. If they cannot be available during that window of time, they're not a good fit for my company. That makes sense. And sometimes they have to rearrange their schedules just to be available during that time. That's not my problem. You want the opportunity to come work for me and get paid very, very well, considerably higher than most people with even advanced degrees in the Philippines, then you're going to be available during those times. That's just a requirement. But then after they're trained and they become proficient in whatever task it is that they're responsible for executing, then we can relax that. It's not necessary for them to be available during that specific time. If they have problems that need to be addressed, then I will tell them, okay, just be available tomorrow in that same kind of window, and we will resolve these issues at that time. If that makes sense. So it's really important. Next thing I would recommend, and this would be the last part of it, would be, as soon as you can, promote whoever your best virtual assistant or employee, have a contract worker, however you are, whatever the arrangement is that you have with them. If you've got somebody that's proven themselves to be, ambitious and able to manage themselves well without needing micromanagement. I don't micromanage anybody on my team, and I won't. If they need micromanaging, they're not a good fit. But what I was going to say is, if you already have someone on your team that has proven themselves to be particularly proficient and good and self-supporting and all that kind of stuff, promote them to a project manager as soon as possible, or at least a team leader. There's different different levels of the way that I organize my team, my kind of company or organization is, we have certain teams, and there's usually a team leader that kind of manages or leads the team, but then they report to a project manager. The project manager reports directly to me. So I don't really communicate with my, the staff that's down, like writing content, things like that. I communicate with the project manager. The project manager communicates with the team or the team leader, depending on what the hierarchy is. But the point that I'm trying to make is, get yourself out of day-to-day operations, out of the daily management side of things as soon as possible, because that'll eat your time alive. And I don't enjoy that part of it at all. I don't have any problem managing people, but I don't enjoy it. I would rather be working on SEO stuff, seriously. So again, the arrangement that I have with my project manager, Hazel, is just fabulous, because and now she has an assistant project manager named Sam, who's also amazing. And so I communicate directly with Hazel, and I communicate directly with Sam, the assistant project manager. And then occasionally I'll talk to the team leader of the site build team. And that's basically it. All the other workers are all managed by the project manager. So it insulates me from having to answer a bunch of questions, right? That's what I pay the project manager well for. And what's really good about that too is, if you're paying on a per task basis, when you're paying you can pay a project manager. So for example, with the arrangement that I have with Hazel, my project manager at Semantic Links, I pay her a certain amount for every single link that is built by her subordinates. Does that make sense? So in other words, I pay Hazel, the project manager, a set dollar amount per link that is built. Then she pays the workers, her subordinates, who are the ones actually doing the work, she pays them from what I pay her. So let's just use an example. Let's say that I'm paying $20 per link placed to Hazel. She might pay $15 per link placed to the team members. So she's acting as the manager, assigning work, communicating with those workers, and insulating me from having to do all that. And she gets paid for every link that they place. Does that make sense? In other words, so it makes sense as we expand our team, and she puts more, it's like a network marketing model, because the more subordinates, the more workers we place under her, the more her income goes up to manage, because she's exponentially increasing her pay because we're adding more and more people under her that every time they produce, she gets a cut, if that makes sense. So it's just been a phenomenal way to build an organization because everybody's making money and everybody's happy. And I've got some fiercely loyal workers. I mean, Hazel's been on my team for 7 years. And I'm just telling you guys, like, she started off as just a virtual assistant. She then became over time, she proved herself and became my executive assistant when it was just me and two VAs. But then when I started Semantic Links at the beginning of this year, we've now got 16 full-time employees. So it's crazy. And she manages all of them and she's crushing it. You know what I mean? So that the reason I went through all of that is I think that is a fantastic question, by the way. This is growing pains that you're going to kind of experience as running a real agency. This is valuable information, guys. And the reason I tell you that is because I've said this before, but everybody comes in the SEO, not everybody, but most people coming in the SEO business thinking that they're going to become financially free if they just learn how to rank stuff. And you'll find out very quickly that you can be really good at SEO and be super hungry, right? Be broke as hell. There's a lot of broke SEOs out there because they don't know how to run a business from it, right? Ranking stuff does not make you a profitable business owner. And so if you're going to be doing agency work, there's a lot of moving parts and things like that. And I've just learned through like trial and error over the years what works. And so again, that's like, hopefully I'm sharing that with you guys because it took me years to be able to kind of fumble my way through. I've made a lot of mistakes. Don't pay salaries, period. Don't do it. If you guys like somebody who's an actual paid employee that's on payroll as opposed to like, paying them as like, contract workers and things like that, then that's different. But when you're paying contract workers, pay per task or per hour, but I don't like to do per hour anything because there's no incentive for somebody to become efficient when you pay hourly. If that makes sense. If we were giving prizes away for best question, Cool Human would win today. I love that question. So hopefully that was helpful. Next one. Hey guys, when running press release campaigns, would it be a good idea to iframe in the target money page as well? Or just a URL to the target page? No, I don't like to iframe money sites into, I haven't tested out with the press release, but the only time I like to iframe money sites into anything is other branded assets and preferably like supporting branded assets. So other tier 1 entity assets, that's it. And the reason why, and it's funny because I just had a sales call earlier today for Semantic Links and I was telling the prospect on the call that he was asking about iframes specifically. And I learned earlier this year that sometimes if you iframe the money page into another property, sometimes that property will cannibalize the money page. And what I mean by that is with my link building business, one of the types of links that I build are what I call custom rebuilds, which are going out and hunting down expired domains that were in the same topical category that have clean backlink profiles. They have high trust flow above 10, but in the appropriate topical trust flow category. I don't really care about trust flow values in and of themselves. What I care about is topical trust flow. So finding a domain that has all clean metrics, relevant history, has topical trust flow in the appropriate category, all of that. And then publishing a new article on that, which I've done, and in embedding a money page into that. I've actually seen this happen earlier this year when I was part of my link building process was to do embeds. I still do embeds, but I only embed now the Google Business website or Google Business Map, or we'll do tier 2 embeds with tier 1 branded assets as the embed, as the iframe, if that makes sense. I don't iframe the money pages at all anymore, other than in like the ID page, for example, or the Press Advantage organization page, something, or the gsite, which is a branded entity asset. Because as I was just mentioning, like the rebuilds, the custom rebuilds, I've seen it happen on more than one occasion where we would embed the money page into a rebuilt site that had relevant content, because we do 1,000+ words, relevant content, and the domain metrics were such that so let's say the money site page was originally ranking in the position 5 on page 1. Then I would embed that page into a custom rebuild that had clean history, appropriate topical trust flow, all that. And then a week later, the money site page is no longer on the first page of Google. Now the rebuild domain is. And so it's because it basically replaced or cannibalized the money page. And I don't want that. So I stopped doing that. So I haven't tested that with press releases, but as I mentioned before, I do not like to iframe the money site into anything other than branded entity assets because of potential cannibalization issues. Otherwise, any other type would just be a straight up anchor text link is what I recommend. And by the way, guys, use brand anchors mostly, especially if you're going to be linking your money. And I don't recommend using press releases to link directly to your money site. If you're going to use press releases, I highly recommend that you use your Google Business website as a buffer, and not just the website, but specifically posts. In fact, just to demonstrate this again, if we go to the YouTube channel and we use channel search feature, let me just show you. Just type in press release silo, right? Or PR silo, or whatever. And you'll see that, let's see, I thought maybe that's an unlisted webinar. Maybe it is. Well, here's an old version of it that I did 3 years ago. I bet you the one that I was just going to share is unlisted. But you know what? We could make that one public. In fact, let me do that real quick, because I think this would be a good. Let me do that real quick. I'm going to pause it for a minute, guys, and jump into Creator Studio, find that video and make it public, and then I'll share it with you. But I did an update to the Local PR Pro training course in December of 2021, so almost a year ago now. And that is still the method that I'm using now for press releases. It works really well and it's safe. You don't have to worry about sending relevant like links from press releases where let me pull this up real quick and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to have to give some context on this press release. Sorry. Give me 1 minute. There it is right there. Yes, it was unlisted. I'm going to make it public. So this was an update from our paid training for Local PR Pro, but I'll go ahead and just share it now. All right, so we're going to go back to the channel. And I'm going to show you guys where to find this. Oops, cancel, save. Okay. Go to channel. All right, so in here, use the channel search feature and search for just like PR silos or press release silos or something like that. It doesn't matter, just search for that and you should see it come up. Well, I just made it public, so maybe it hadn't come up yet. Anyway, son of a bitch, let me just give you a goddamn link. This is driving me nuts now. I think it's because I just made it public that it's not going to show up right away. It'll take a minute for the algorithm to catch up. And God damn it, I can't find this to save my life now. Shit.
Also, just wanted to say I saw a comment
Right
on YouTube chat that was super nice. So somebody with their nickname Potato said, "Just found your channel, starting my own rank and rent agency. Tons of value here. We'll binge watch all your playlists and then sign up for the mastermind later." That's awesome.
Great. Well, be on the lookout, because the video bucket that I talked about at the beginning that I'm learning from the Channel Jumpstart program, creating a video bucket. My bucket is rank and rent SEO. And I'm going to do a whole series on, like, from start to finish on how to build a rank and rent business. Seriously. So that's going to be what I start producing training. It'll be public training. That's not paid training. It'll be public. So it'll be, that's what I'm going to do for my Channel Jumpstart stuff, my homework. And I'm really looking forward to it. I've been doing a ton of research over the last month and compiling data and all kinds of stuff. So you guys will hopefully find that useful. Anyway, eventually that will show up in our search, but it was basically this video here called PR Silos, Local PR Pro Update from December 2021. I don't know why TubeBuddy's doing this, but anyway, that's a 32-minute video. It was from a webinar, update webinar. It talks about the very specific process I use for building links from press releases using the Google Business website, but specifically posts as the buffer. Okay, so you do an exact match keyword anchor from the press releases to your target URLs, to the Google Business Post URL, okay? The Google Business Post URL you put in the CTA button, the call to action button. You select either book or learn more as the button type, which allows you to insert a URL, right? That links to that URL. So you link to whatever page it is on your money site that you're trying to promote, that you would have otherwise promoted with a press release, a direct link. You want to link to that page or post on the money site with the CTA button from a Google Business post. You summarize that content of that page that you're linking to. You just summarize that content into the post text or the text of the Google Business post. So between 200 to 225 words ish, right? So it's about 1,500 characters. You just summarize that post, make sure that the keyword is in the first line of the text in the Google Business post. Then you publish the post, you wait for the post to appear on the Google Business website, then you go copy the URL from the post as like an inner page of the Google Business website. That becomes your target URL, which then you can link to with exact match anchors or target anchors, target or topic anchors. A target anchor is keyword plus location modifier. A topic anchor is keyword only. Okay, so a target or topic anchor links directly to that Google Business post URL. Then I always recommend having a second link in the press release that either links to the Google Maps share URL or a Google Business review share URL. Or if you're doing a press release silo, then you would link to the previous press release in a silo. You can do that as well, which is what I was covering in this update webinar that I was just showing you here. Okay, so that was be it. Now, the reason I pulled up this tool is because I talk about this all the time, but this is how I developed this is what seeded the idea for me to build semantic links, which is the topically relevant link building business that I have, right? And that was because of this tool, and very specifically, it's not really the tool that this is what gave me the idea, but it's the process that Google uses now to determine the relevance of links. And if links aren't relevant or fully relevant, then the value has been reduced, lessened by Google. If they're not relevant at all, then the link is completely worthless. So that means if there's not any sort of relevance match at both the page level or at any level. So like, for example, this is what Google's algorithm does automatically now. With the NLP, like the NLP natural language processor is like another layer on the core algorithm now, right? So when the Googlebot comes and crawls a page, it first identifies what the topical categories are of the content of that page, the target page. Once it classifies or assigns the topical categories via Google's NLP topical categories, which are very closely aligned to Majestic's topical trust flow categories. There are some differences. They're not exactly the same, but they're very close, which is precisely why I use Majestic for topical trust flow analysis. It's the only tool that does that. And again, their topical trust flow categories in Majestic are very similar to NLP categories here. So when Googlebot comes and crawls the target page, it first identifies the topical categories and assigns the categories to that content. Then it goes and scans the backlinks that are pointing to that target URL, and it determines it classifies the topical or categorizes the topics of each one of those pages, the main content area of each one of those referring pages. And it looks for a match. Is there a topical relevance match? Depending on how many categories it finds, it's always going to find one topical category, usually finds 2 or 3 topical categories, and sometimes it will find 4. And so what it does is it first identifies the categories of the target page, then it scans the backlinks and does the same process. It looks to determine what are the topical categories of those referring pages. Is there a relevance match? Is it a 1-to-1, 1-to-2, 1-to-3? It depends on how many topical categories it found, both on the target as well as the referring page. Then it also scans what are the topical categories of the domain itself, the primary or most prominent topical categories of the domain. There has to be a relevance match across all 3 of those, right? So target, referring page, referring domain. It doesn't have to be 100%. If there is a 100% topical relevance match, like what you see with this one example here, then that link is given full value, full weight. If there is a partial match, then that link has been devalued. It depends. There's a lot of variables to determine how much that link has been devalued, maybe not entirely. So for example, if you have domain or backlinks that the referring page is relevant, there's topical relevance match, but the referring domain does not have topical relevance match, then that link there's still some value from that link, but not as much as if there was also relevance match at the domain level. But if the link has a 0 page relevance match and 0 domain relevance match, that link is worthless. It's providing no value, none whatsoever. It's just completely being ignored. And I don't care what the UR/DR rating is. I don't care what the PA/DA rating is. If there's 0 relevance match, Google's ignoring that link now. There may be some cases where like certain super high powered links will still provide some measurable value. But for the vast majority of links that you're going to get, they're not significant enough to where they're going to produce any result unless there's some sort of topical relevance match. They're just being devalued. And it's being done algorithmically now, guys. It's not something that requires manual review like it used to 5 years ago. Does that make sense? So the reason why I bring that up is because, specifically going back to the question about press releases, the problem with press releases, which is why I don't don't use press releases to link directly to money sites anymore, is because there's no domain relevance match from press releases unless you're in the news industry, right? Your target asset is a news site or something like that, because generally there might be some relevance at the page level because the content of the press release should be relevant to what it's linking to. So there should be page relevance match. There should always, anytime you're going to build a link, buy a link, whatever, there should be page relevance match, at least partial page relevance match. It's called a contextual link for a reason. It's in context. The context that surrounds a link should be relevant to what it's linking to. Does that make sense? So on press releases, the page, you will have page relevance, sure. But what about domain relevance? What are the primary topical categories of the domain that press release is published on? And generally, they're going to be nothing that's even remotely close to what the topical categories are of your target. So therefore, those links are not providing much value. They are good for local. They're good for maps ranking because of the citations, NAP mentions within the press releases, right? That's really good for maps, which is precisely why I use press releases to link to Google business posts. Because I can, again, remember, a Google business website guys is a bridge between organic and maps, right? The Google business profile is maps. The money site is organic. The Google business website is a bridge between organic and maps. So if you use the press releases to link to the Google business website, preferably Google business posts, because then you can control the one target URL from the Google business post through the CTA button, which is a do follow link, by the way. Because now you're kind of pushing NAP relevance from press release publications to the Google business website, which is a bridge between organic and maps. And then you link, and also it's going to have a map embed, or it should if you're doing local projects. So now you get map embeds, and then you also link to, as I mentioned in the webinar that I just shared with you guys, or the update that I just shared with you guys, linking to a Google Business Map share URL and or a Google Business Review share URL, again, is more signals to the Google Map. Does that make sense? So very specific. I've been using that strategy for press releases ever since. Well, before I did the webinar about it, but that's the method I still use to this day. Okay. And even in my link building business, I do sell the occasional press release. It's an add-on service, but occasionally people come in and just purchase a press release, and they'll submit their details, and I will send them a message, because most of the time people will submit their money site URL to be linked to in the press release, and I'll submit them, reply back to them and say, hey, I'll do this if you want, but here's what I recommend. And most people say, yeah, go ahead and let's go your route instead, because again, I've tested this, guys, and it works much better. I don't like to build any sort of links to the money site that aren't topically relevant at both page level and domain level. It doesn't have to be 100% match, but there needs to be at least partial match at both levels, or I don't want the link. Not pointed to the money site anyways. Does that make sense? It's all about topical relevance, guys. We're in the semantic web. That's not going to change. So these traditional metrics, getting high URDR ratings, high PADA ratings with no topical relevance, means nothing to me anymore. Like I said, if I can get links that are topically relevant that also have those high traditional metrics, hell yeah, I'll take that. Bonus, score, right? But I don't care about those metrics individually at all. What I care about is topical relevance, period. And it works. It works well. There's another good question, by the way. I think I lost my... God, we got a lot of questions. I better roll through these. I got 17 minutes. That was a good question, by the way. All right, next one. Hey, guys, what kind of deliverables are you including in local SEO campaigns, both organic and GMB? At the moment, I am doing location page content and setup to gradually build out new pages for clients and a press release each month, plus GMB posts, but not sure if I could be missing out on upselling other valuable services to my local clients. Yeah, I mean, you can do citations. You can do review generation. So, set up review campaigns to solicit reviews from customers. You can do Google ads, even if you don't want to do search ads, which I'm still struggling to get make those work now. It's been a while since I've done significant Google Ads campaigns for search ads. But remarketing ads work well. I think those work great. Also, YouTube ads is another great thing for branding. I do brand campaigns using Google Ads. That's a great upsell. I love that for my clients because, I charge anywhere between $150 to $300 per month for a YouTube branding campaign. So I'll go get a video and I will charge the customer to have a video produced. So, it might be $300 or whatever to have a video commercial created, or go to Fiverr or Legit, get something done. Usually runs me between $50 to $100 to get a video made. So I charge the client, $250 or $300 to get the video made. So there's a little bit of markup there. But then that video, I set up a YouTube ads campaign through my Google Ads account, and I would charge the customer depending on how aggressive they want to be. So like in some cases, I'll charge $150 and I will set up $2 a day as my budget. So that's $60 per month of the $150 that they're paying me. So I make $90 a month in profit. And once you set up a YouTube ads campaign, a branding campaign, the first couple of weeks, you might want to go in, and once you get some data rolling in, you might want to get in and tweak the campaign a little bit. But once it's dialed in, that's it. You're done. And it's just month to month, you just receive money. And it requires literally no management whatsoever once it's set up properly. And so like on the low end, like I said, I'll charge $150 a month to manage those campaigns. And I'll charge $2. I out of that budget, I pay $2 a day in advertising in Google Ads budget for that campaign. So that's $60 a month in ad spend, $90 a month in profit, recurring revenue, right? And if it's a $300 campaign, then I will do $4 a day, $4 a day. So that comes out to be $160. Or excuse me, $120. Yeah. So it just depends on what they want, usually for companies with larger service areas, like tree service companies, I will charge, I would try to sell them on the higher, they're $300 a month, but it works great because it keeps, especially with you, when you set up, audience or segments, audience segments, they're called now, custom segments, then you can get, pretty good at just generating leads, what I call an indirect lead from Google Ads, because those ads will play over and over and over again for people until they're ready. When they're ready to finally need a tree service or whatever, then it's top of mind, right? It's like, oh yeah, I keep seeing this ad from Joe's tree service. So I need a tree cut. I'm going to go search them out by name as opposed to just tree service plus city search. They go search Joe's tree service because they keep seeing that name come up across YouTube. Does that make sense? So those are a couple other things you can do. You can sell press releases. I just mentioned that. That's something else that I sell to clients, not usually as an add-on, like as a la carte, but kind of just part of the monthly retainer. Like I work that into my retainers. So there is markup on that. I make profit on the press releases for sure. So these are all things that you can do to increase margins, right? Average cart value or average order value or whatever. I'm not an e-com guy. So, all right, next, other than press releases, what's a relatively inexpensive we can do to dilute anchors for a heap of internal pages that have lots of keyword anchors links built to them? And yeah, press releases are for all the reasons I just mentioned before. I don't like to link directly to the money site, even to dilute over optimized anchor text. I guess in some certain drastic times call for drastic measures, right? So if it's bad enough, then maybe that would be helpful, but I don't like to build links at all that aren't relevant, both at the page and domain level. So, I don't know, other than just disavowing. That's all. In fact, Eric Lancheres from OnPage, he did a webinar about this probably a month ago now. We're using this link relevancy tool. You can go in and actually find all your links that are pointing to your money site that are zero topical relevance match at both page and domain. So meaning there's no topical relevance match at all, and just disavow those things. And this is an expensive tool. If you got a lot of links, you're going to need an expensive plan in order to, it's an expensive tool, but it's powerful. So again, other than just disavowing, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. Press releases could work. You could dilute the anchor text, but again, if those links aren't providing any sort of measurable value because there's no relevance match, then are they helping? Right? Are they really helping? Or are they actually just doing nothing, or are they causing more harm? It'd be hard to gauge. So I would almost recommend disavowing, going in and taking the time. You'd have to subscribe to a tool like this that can do link analysis and run the links through Google's NLP so you can determine if there's a topical category match. If there is, great, leave them. If they're not, get rid of them. That's the best thing I can do. But by the way, just to let you know, guys, when you disavow links, that does not remove them from the link reporting tools. So if you submit a disavow file, those links are still going to appear in Ahrefs or Majestic or whatever. The only thing that they won't appear, how you know that those links are really truly being ignored is you can look in Google Search Console and extract your external links and see that they have been indeed ignored by Google. But the disavowing does not remove them from the internet. It just tells Google to ignore them. So therefore, those links, as long as they're crawlable, as long as those links are still live on the web, Ahrefs is going to find them, SEMrush will find them, Majestic, all of them are going to find those. So those backlinks will still show in your backlink analysis. They just will be ignored by Google. So you got to understand that, because I know people disavow things and say, well, I'm still seeing them in Ahrefs. What does that mean? Well, their links are still not live on the web. They're just being ignored by Google. The only way to get them removed entirely is to contact the webmasters, and who has time for that shit? You know what I mean? Most of the time people are going to ignore you anyways. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Do you know a really awesome but not too pricey white label freelancer agency that can help with PPC, specifically Google ads? Yeah, I talked about this before, but Clicks Geek, which is Ed Stapleton. He was a former mastermind member, but he went off and he started a white label PPC agency. This is it here. And he's good. This dude's good. So I don't know, when you say an affordable, I don't know what your pricing is, but I would contact him. He's a good dude, real good guy. And he's got a successful white label PPC agency. So check it out and see. Okay. All right. Howdy SM crew. Is there a simple CTR service where I can add orders for different URLs like GMBs, YouTube videos, web pages, gsites, etc., and have them done for me with localized 4G proxies? Or can I just pay a flat fee per month for my agency clients? Well, if it's for local stuff, that's what Local Fury is, man. We do it 100% for you. And the CTR is a component of several things that we do at Local Fury. Plus we do full onboarding now, full local entity audits. It's an enormous amount of time that it requires for me to do that, but it's quite amazing what I've been able to uncover in these audit reports, or these audits that I do for Local Fury clients now. It's just astonishing, to be honest with you. Some of the SEO stuff that I'm seeing that's like just not done well. So I do full local entity audits now for new subscribers of Local Fury. For the first 5 locations that you submit, I will do full entity audits and provide guidance and recommendations for all the things that I find that can be corrected, so that when you do those things, if you choose to do them, because you could tell me, you can go shit in your hat, I'm not doing any of your recommendations, and that's fine. That's your choice. But why I go through this process is, first of all, to identify problems with the entity, problems with location data. So all these things that can occur, that all the signals that we generate from Local Fury in the world aren't going to help a site that has poor structure, or the entity is ambiguated. If it's suffering from other problems, the signals aren't going to help. And so therefore, that's why we started incorporating the onboarding and consultation kind of fee, because I spend a lot of time auditing the projects that are submitted. So, and in providing recommendations, like, here's all the things that I found. Here is what I recommend on how to correct these things. Because if you do decide to execute the tasks that I recommend, or execute my recommendations, then the signals that we send will have a significant effect, but not until those other items are resolved, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like I'm just saying that I'm not here to pitch you on Local Fury, although that's kind of what I'm doing. But I don't know of anybody that does a 100% done for you service, is what I'm saying. There might be one of those out there, but I haven't known of it. Local Fury is for local only, but it is basic 100% done for you, right? Again, with the local entity audit, you get my team generates competitive analysis reports, and then I go through an entire process of how I audit the entity. I did a full webinar on it. There's a 3-hour webinar on the Local Fury. Go to youtube.com/@localfury and go watch the webinar where I go through local entity audits, and you'll see, like, we do that now for the first 5 locations of any new subscriber. Okay, after 5, you should know how to do it on your own. So, But yeah, as far as I don't know of any other done for you, 100% done for you for CTR stuff other than what we do at Local Fury, but that is more than just CTR. That is a component of it. Next question. Hey guys, what's your opinion? And hello to you as well. Hey guys, what's your opinion on PageOptimizer Pro? Any success with it? I optimized a few pages 4 months ago, but I don't see any ranking changes. Other recommendations? Thanks. I don't know. I haven't used it, and I'm familiar with it, but I haven't used it, so I really don't have an opinion on it. They're all similar tools, guys. PageOptimizer Pro, Surfer. My favorite one right now is OnPage, as I mentioned before. I love this tool because it not only has on-page optimization processes, but also the off-page stuff, which none of the other tools I know of do that. So link relevancy tool, what they call predictive guest posts and predictive link building, all of that. That's what this screenshot was here, the predictive part of it. All of this stuff is very valuable. So I don't really have an opinion on PageOptimizer Pro because I just haven't used it. They're all very similar, but remember, you can tweak on page and, tune the content and all of that. And that is certainly I mean, sometimes you see significant movement from that, but other times you don't, which means it might not have been the on-page optimization. You have to look at other factors, off-page factors, entity factors. There's backlinks. Look at your backlink profile, anchor text ratios. Are your backlinks relevant? If they're not producing any benefit. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of things to go into. It's not just on page. On page is always where you start for sure. But if you did something 4 months ago, you optimized the pages and they have high optimization scores and it didn't do anything 4 months later, then it wasn't on page alone. That might have been part of it, but it wasn't on page alone. There's other factors that need to be addressed, right? Again, a local entity audit could reveal those to you, or just go watch the local entity audit webinar I did for Local Fury. It's free. It's on our Local Fury channel. 3 hours long, I think. And you can probably identify where there might be other issues that need to be resolved. Okay. On page is not everything. It is the starting point for sure. Timid Citizen says, hey guys, starting my journey into affiliate SEO and published a massive buyer's guide article for some good keywords. And with 2 links, Pinterest and another branded web too, it was hit and it has hit top of page 2. That's great, man. What's the ideal link type I can use to push this to the top? Would a GMB post make sense? Likely not. GMB posts don't really move the needle much for ranking stuff organically. They can if you build a shit ton of links to them. But there's also a very specific way. I'm going to run out of time, but I'm going to share something with you guys. And we're not going to be able to get all these questions, guys, but I want to share something with you guys. Give me 1 minute. All right, I'm going to have to make this generic real quick because it's got some client information. It's just a little cheat sheet that I use, but let me show you what I want to show you. All right, just a second, guys. GB subdomain. That's fine. That'll work. All right, let me close this down, blow this up a little bit. Okay, so, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Shit. Try that again. I was trying to zoom in. Okay, so this, Google Business Posts index way better in this format. So the typical format for Google Business Posts, and I'm answering this question because I know you're asking, I'm going to give you topically, so to answer your question first, and then I'll finish this thought, topically relevant links. That's what's going to matter. Organic ranking, topically relevant links are what matter for ranking in organic, full stop. Okay. That's what you need. Topically relevant links with both page level relevance and domain level relevance match. And you will push from the top of page 2 on to page 1. You get a couple of links. I know of a good provider for that. Go to vetted, vetted.com and check my niche relevant link building service. If I have topical categories that are appropriate, you can purchase a couple of links from me and it will probably push over to page 2, or excuse me, page 1. I'm serious. But the reason why I brought this up is because you asked about Google Business Posts. Google Business Posts actually don't produce much effect for organic ranking. They can if you build links to them. So as I mentioned with the press release stuff, use the CTA button to link to whatever page it is you want to rank. And then you hammer that Google Business Post URL with relevant links. And that is a buffer because it's a Google property between the links and your money site. But you can push relevance through that because that's a do follow link. So it's very important to do so, but not just any old Google post. The best way to do it. So you guys are aware that usually this is the format. And Adam, if you got to go ahead, man, because I'm going to run over a couple minutes. Anyways,
Gotcha.
business.
Might have to head out for a date night.
That's fine, man. If you got to go. I'll stick around for a few more minutes.
Cool.
So anyways, guys, this is typically how a Google business post looks, right? Like that. So the Google business subdomain .business.site /post/post ID. That's what that is. Okay. But this right here is the alternative format that indexes way better. And all you got to do is just use this exact same format. In fact, this is what you call the post ID. So I'm just going to say post ID like that. Okay. So you just take your normal Google business post and then you just rearrange it with this particular URL format. So you take your Google business subdomain, you put that right here. Then you take your post ID and you put that right here. That right there, that post type, that format, URL format is the one that indexes way better. Number one, and then that can become again, a link building target with the CTA button that's linking to whatever you're trying to push. And then you can hit that very aggressively with links. You guys can spam away if you want with bulk spam. I don't see the point in that anymore. Honestly, because your bulk spam links, you're not going to have domain relevance unless you're getting bulk spam links on topically relevant, like Web 2.0s and things like that. Good luck. So, again, I know you can still brute force with links, sometimes stuff like this, but I don't see the point because it won't last for long. I always recommend going with topically relevant links that's going to satisfy page level relevance and domain level relevance. You don't need a lot of them if it's done properly, right? So it's not like you need dozens and dozens of links. You only need a few. If they're topically relevant, they will move the needle, right? And you're talking about permanent links too. With Web 2 and bulk spam, what happens? Those links get de-indexed, they get deleted or those Web 2.0 accounts get suspended over time. So you constantly have to replenish spam links, always, okay? So that's why to me, it's a waste of time and energy and effort. Go with links that will last. Permanent links, topically relevant. That's what Google wants. Give it to them. That's what I'm saying. Doesn't have to be my link building service. Go out and do it yourself. I teach exactly how I find links to build and topical relevance and all that. I teach all of that in the mastermind. Everything I do in my link building business is taught in the mastermind. So if you want to do that on your own, come join the mastermind and learn how to do it. Or pick it up from somewhere else. But all I'm saying is just use topically relevant links is what I'm saying. Okay. Okay. Hopefully that helps. I seriously, topically relevant links, that's going to do it for you. I promise you. Not so much this. This is a good strategy for local stuff, but for affiliate stuff, I probably wouldn't even bother with that. I just go straight to the link directly to the money page. Okay, guys, I'm going to answer. I'll stick around for at most another 8 minutes, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So, hi, SM, do you know any good, reliable software developers that are reasonably affordable and fast to reply or make changes? I do not. I'm sorry. I do not. For potential home service clients, where is the best place to get images for their sites or our lead gen assets? Heard Google not a fan of stock images. Yes, they're not. You can do some stuff with stock images, like overlay a logo. And now I do QR codes. I used to do text overlay. I don't do that at all anymore. Now I just do QR code overlay. Well, a logo plus QR code overlay on stock images, that makes it unique. So I've been getting away with that a bit, but here's an old strategy that I've used for years. Go to YouTube, search for whatever the industry it is. Let me just demonstrate this really quick. Let's go back over to YouTube real fast. I'm going to go to YouTube. And so I'll just do tree removal as an example. Okay. So let's say tree removal. If I could spell properly. I've been doing this for years and it works. Let's just, let's click. Well, here's another thing you can do is go up here and click on filter. So just type in a keyword in YouTube for whatever product or service it is that you're promoting. Go to filters. I like to filter by HD so that they're sharp images in the video. And then just click into it. So we'll just use this one. It's just right at the top. Let me hit pause on that, or excuse me, on the audio. And you just find a spot in the video that, is compelling or that you want to we'll just, we'll just use this one as an example. It's this one. My monitor just went weird. Anyways, we'll just use this as an example. This isn't a really sharp image and there's not enough detail on this, but just as an example, but I'm going to just take a screenshot. I don't know if you guys can see my screenshot working, but before I do that, I want to click on settings and I want to select the highest resolution. So I just changed it to 1080. If you saw that, so that's the highest resolution. Give it a second. You see it did get sharper. You might not be able to see it through Zoom, but on my end, I saw that the image did get sharper. The color, the lighting is really terrible in this particular shot. So I wouldn't use this image, but I'm just demonstrating what I do. Anyways, pause it, find it, set the highest resolution so it's a sharp image, and then you take a screenshot. That right there is a unique image. That image right there is not indexed anywhere in Google, right? So that is a unique image. You have basically an unlimited amount of unique images that you can grab screenshots from YouTube videos. And then you still jump in here and you do logo overlay, QR code that links to money page, Google business website, Google map URL, depending on what you're trying to do, put a QR code that links to whatever it is that you want to push credit to. Does that make sense? So again, right there, that's a pretty sharp image. The coloring is terrible, but it's a pretty sharp image. That's a nice looking image there. And then resize it, right? You want to resize it to, standard size of like 600 by 400 is a good size that I use a lot. That one's a little bit, shorter, not as tall, but you can see, like, again, those images right there, unlimited supply right from YouTube, unique images. I've been doing that for years. You can still geotag these images and everything else too. So there you go. What call answering service do you recommend? Do they live transfer or book the appointment directly for the client? I do answerconnect.com. I've been using them since 2013 or 14. It's answerconnect.com. They do live transfers. That I don't know if they do appointment booking. You can find out if you want. I use them. However, some of our mastermind members have found that they like this one better. I'm familiar with them too. Pat Live. I've used years and years ago. From 2003 to 2007, I used to flip real estate houses. And Pat Live was really big for real estate investors. They probably still are, but I'm talking about way back then. Pat Live was an answering service that real estate investors used, which that was damn near 20 years ago. And they're still around. So I know that some of our mastermind members have say they like this better than Answer Connect. So I've been happy with Answer Connect, been using them for about 8 years. Like it. Okay. What are the best practices for building citations for a lead gen property with a hidden address? Not structured citations, build non-traditional citations. So social citations, press releases, video citations, image citations, all of that, but just don't build business directory listings. I don't. For lead gen assets, I call them non-traditional citations. Structured citations are like business directory listings. If it's a lead gen asset without a real valid physical location, I just omit those. That makes sense. Would you use the address you used to get the maps listing verified, even though it may be a home address, to get onto powerful directories? No, because the problem with that is when you start to use an address from a spammed listing address or from somebody else's address, you start getting business correspondence via physical mail, US mail, solicitations, marketing offers, free pens, right? That are, advertising specialties that'll have that company's name, your Google business profile that you registered to that address will have that company name on pens, if that makes sense, that they'll send you to try to get you to buy advertising specialties or whatever they call that. You know what I mean? So the problem is if you start using the address in business directories, you will start getting solicitation mail, right? And so whoever lives at that address is going to start getting mail that's addressed to a company that isn't there. And it's likely that it will get reported and then your Google business profile will be suspended. So just don't. You can get away with still providing kind of NAP, name, address, and phone number consistency through non-traditional citations. All right. Let's see. Can you please share where you lit the thumbnail of the YouTube for the tree service you show on using in LiveRank Sniper created and maybe the VA name? Dramatic mind. No, that's my own. Like we have a VA that's been doing like he's the guy that does all of Semantic Mastery's thumbnail images. He's been working for us for years. For years. Anyways, that's the VA that I use because again, he works for us. But I just recommend just going to Fiverr, guys. Just go to Fiverr and find YouTube thumbnail stuff. And I get 10 batches at a time. So like here's one right here, starting at $5. Like all of these. I mean, look, there are dozens of them. Just go to Fiverr and pick one. I'm not going to share my guy just because he does stuff for me and for Semantic Mastery, and I don't know that he has the bandwidth. Maybe I could ask him if he wants more work, and if he has the ability to do so, then maybe. 6 thumbnail images for $20. There you go. Ask for 10. Contact the seller. I mean, shit. I do. Remember, if you're doing the live rank sniper stuff, what I recommend is getting a generic, like without phone number, because I pay him $20 for 10. That's what I do. I pay $20 for 10 images, but I get batches made with specific phone numbers that are numbers that I use from, I just use Twilio for that now. I used to use CallRail, but I do everything through HighLevel now. And so I get Twilio numbers specific to that location, right? The area that I'm going to be building the lead gen assets in and using LiveRank Sniper to test or poke keywords. So I have the thumbnail images with phone numbers specific to that area already embedded. But what I'm saying is you can have thumbnail images created without a phone number, right? That just, as you know, like free tree service, tree removal estimates. And in the brand, I always recommend some kind of a brand whenever you're doing lead gen stuff, but get 10 thumbnails created for LiveRank Sniper that are generic that can be used over and over and over again, right? And you might pay, shit, it's, you spend $40, you get 12. You know what I mean? So there you go. One time, you do that one time, and then you've got the thumbnail images that will pop. They'll stand out in the search results. You can always take those thumbnail images and then put them into a graphics editor and overlay specific phone numbers. So in fact, that's something you could do is ask for thumbnail images with a section that where a phone number will be overlaid once you find a buyer for that area or whatever, and then you can edit those. So you get the images made, and then you go in with Snagit or whatever and go overlay phone numbers as you get them for each area, if that makes sense. So you only need to pay for this once is what I'm saying. I just pay the $20 to get 10 new ones made for each project, but you can maximize it by just having a batch made with like a template, an area where you can overlay other logos, other website addresses, other phone numbers, etc. There you go. All right, guys, I got to wrap it up. I'm almost 15 minutes over. So sorry if I didn't get to your questions. This was a great one. You guys posted a lot of really good questions. I appreciate that. We will see you guys next week. Thanks, everyone.